Sprezzatura, it's an Italian word that has been created, maybe invented, or at least used a lot, or popularized, by an author called Baldassare Castiglione in 1528, in a book called The Book of the Courtier. In this famous book, he explains that a courtier, that is somebody who is at the court of the kings, how he should behave to be successful, how he should behave to receive the good graces of the kings and the princes. And one of the things that he advised to do was to develop a sense of sprezzatura. That is to say, to make sure that you are well dressed, but what you show to others is not your efforts, it's just the way you dress. So it's some kind of a calculated nonchalance. You want to appear nonchalant, although in the secrecy of your room, you've been working a lot and thinking a lot about how you would wear. But outside, what you show to others is a form of casualness and nonchalance, as if you've been only taking the shirt that was at the top of the pile and the first jacket that you can find in your closet and put them on without giving a second thought. So it's a calculated nonchalance. This is the exact definition of the Sprezzatura. This word in 2018, I would say, since exactly the day when G. Bruce Boyer wrote for the Rake magazine a great article called Sprezzatura. He was the first to really explain the background of the word. Where is it coming from? So I remember it was in 2008, I would say, or 2009. On Parisian Gentleman, we've been translating this article in French, and then I've been augmenting this article with my own word, because Bruce, in the meantime, became a good friend. So we've been working together on this subject to make it more understandable to the people. The problem is that a lot of people started to use this word as a gimmick. I mean, I use Sprezzatura means I understand men's style. You understand? I'm part of these people. I'm in. I use the Sprezzatura, but most of the time it's misused. Why? Because ask people, what is your definition of Sprezzatura? People who are in the know, in the sartorial world. Most of them have a vague idea that, well, it's the way the Italians are dressing, with a lot of flair, with a lot of colors, with a lot of exuberance, with a lot of flamboyance. No, sir, no. This is not the definition of the Sprezzatura. It's almost the reverse definition. The Sprezzatura is not about excesses, it's not about putting accessories, it's not about overdoing it. Precisely, it's the reverse. It's about making people understand and believe that you didn't prepare yourself, that you're all natural, that you're all unsophisticated, you are elegant by nature and not by effort. So you understand the message. Sprezzatura, look at pictures of Pitti Uomo. Even some websites are called Sprezzatura, and they showcase people with crazy pocket squares, crazy socks, and crazy accessories. Okay, these people has a misunderstood word. It's bizarre almost. It's as if you were defining the word by its exact contrary. If you see a person at Pitti Uomo or even outside Pitti Uomo, it's even worse, because if you see it in real life, this person. And this person, we can see, for the Parisian Gentleman event, for example, we have a lot of people coming, always. And we're very proud of that, because it's our community. But sometimes I see people arriving with, oh my gosh, a waistcoat and a tie and a tie bar and bracelets and scarves and oh my gosh, so many accessories. What do these people expose? What do they show to the world? They don't show their elegance, they show their efforts. Everybody will think inside, think, oh, this guy has been making a lot of efforts to dress. He's been thinking a lot of how he looks. So this is precisely the counter definition of Sprezzatura. Because Sprezzatura is precisely trying to hide your efforts, and reaching a level of mastering of the sartorial art that when you dress, people don't feel that you made an effort. They just feel you naturally elegant. So this word, yes, has almost lost his soul during all these years because so many people are misusing it. Everybody, when we speak about Sprezzatura, contemporary Sprezzatura, because I remind you that at the time when Baldassare Castiglione wrote this book, people were wearing high heels, wearing, high colors, were wearing wigs. So it's another time, okay? But today, when you speak about Sprezzatura, every person who is interested in the sartorial domain will immediately think of Gianni Agnelli, of course. Gianni Agnelli was very famous for his sense of Sprezzatura because he was very daring in the way he was dressing. Gianni Agnelli, by the way, was the CEO of Fiat in Torino. So that's an important person. I think he died 20 years ago, something like that. But we have a lot of pictures of him with Gianni Agnelli loved to play with idiosyncrasies, with his own idiosyncrasies. For example, he loved to wear his watch above his cuffs, not under, which was, somebody would say, well, that's just because he wanted to show off, his watch. No, in his case, it's not true, because he liked to make small twists like that in all his things. But he was so natural that nobody would expect that he's been putting a lot of thought into that. So that's one example of somebody who is exemplifying Sprezzatura. That is to say, who was spending a lot of time, trying to pull off a lot of different outfits, but at the same time, he was very nonchalant and debonair. So this man is probably one of the best examples of Sprezzatura. Nowadays, it's difficult to say because in the young generation, they have a tendency to overdo it a little bit, okay? So if I would like to exemplify Sprezzatura, I will take somebody who is not a model. I would take somebody who is not even an actor, who is not a public person, but one of our domain. I think about G. Bruce Boyer, my friend. G. Bruce Boyer is in his 70s. If you look at some pictures of Bruce Boyer, you find that this guy seems he was always very elegant, of course. He masters the multiple layers like nobody else. But you never think, this man has been putting a lot of efforts on the fact to try to look good and to look elegant. No, Bruce Boyer seems totally natural and totally relaxed and totally at ease in everything he wears, as if, precisely, he didn't prepare himself. So Bruce Boyer, whom I salute, he's a good friend of us, is probably one of the person, and it's funny because he was the one who redefined Sprezzatura recently, is one who is applying it the best in his life as a sartorial icon. It's always the same. When you take a subject like the sartorial domain, sartorial universe, the sartorial journey, in this domain, there's a lot of words. You know that it's quite easy to become a little bit obscure for other people because we have a vocabulary that very few people understand. When you go to Pitti Uomo and you meet your fellow sartorialists, what do you talk about the whole night? About clothes, about pocket squares, about ties, about that. And then you start to speak about 7-fold tie and 12-fold tie. And then you start to speak about weft and warp. And you start to speak about super 150. And you start to speak about, all this kind of stuff. And for a layman, somebody who doesn't understand our world, it seems like we are speaking a kind of strange languages with a lot of technical stuff. And some young people wanted to be part of this community, and so they grab any kind of word they can grab. And Sprezzatura is so chic to say Sprezzatura, right? It's so It looks like snob almost to say, oh, I'm going to explain to you my sense of style, what I would describe as French style with a hint of Sprezzatura. It's so chic, right? The problem is that they didn't, it's like dandy. That's another good example. Everybody say, oh, you're a dandy, right? You are dandified. A lot of magazines use the word dandy. But wait a minute. Once again, what are we talking about here? Dandyism is dead. Dandyism doesn't exist anymore. It was back in the years, in the 18th and 19th century, in France and in England, there was an important intellectual movement. It was a real movement with real people like Charles Baudelaire, like Oscar Wilde, like Barbé d'Aurevilly. All these people were trying to advocate for a lifestyle. So being a dandy at this period of time was a kind of a revolt, was a very profound philosophy. I refuse to work because this is vulgar. That's dandyism. Do you think that the people understand dandyism in its original definition in 2018 or 2019? No, of course not. They think dandy is because you wear a pocket square and you wear a tie. So that's a good example. The word dandy is very precise. It describes a philosophical movement that happened in England and in France and around the world in the 18th and 19th century. It's not like just being well-dressed. Same for Sprezzatura. This word has been sliding a little bit, and it became synonymous of Italian extravaganza or Italian grace, la grazia. It's not neither extravaganza nor la grazia. It's Sprezzatura. It's the art of appearing nonchalant and having a natural elegance without showing to others that you've been preparing yourself. The real Sprezzatura is difficult to reach. I don't know if I managed to reach it. I'm immersed literally in this. This is my job. It's just that I don't even know if I managed to appear comfortable and elegant in every outfit I pull off. I think I do, but it's very difficult to judge yourself, you know. You understand that what you see in the mirror is not what people see in everyday life. So it's Sprezzatura is probably a very good idea to follow. Try to appear nonchalant. And so this is part of my life. This is always in my head somehow. I try always not to overdo things and to remain elegant, but naturally elegant. But I don't know if I managed to do it. Dandyism, it's irrelevant. I mean, talking about dandyism in 2018 is irrelevant. So it has nothing to do with what I do. I'm not a dandy. I work. I don't consider working being vulgar. And I don't consider myself superior to other people. Dandies, the real one, were considering themselves as a masterpiece. That's the whole thing. They consider themselves, their body, and the way they look as the masterpiece. That's another definition of dandyism. I don't consider myself as a masterpiece, and I'm not that interested in myself. I have the reverse opinion. I think that elegance is more a medium that will help you have better relationship with others or create a context, a mood, an ambience that is sufficiently elegant to put people at ease so that you can have better quality interactions with others. That's what I'm looking for. So dandyism is irrelevant. Sprezzatura is probably one of the most important words in my life. Well, it's very difficult because Sprezzatura is not a thing. You can't describe it. It's the absence of a thing. Or more exactly, is how you hide your efforts and how you cultivate within yourself the art of appearing nonchalant and natural. So the first advice would be precisely don't overdo it. If you have more than 2 or 3 accessories on you, give it a second thought. Ask yourself, not what I can add, but what can I remove? That's the right question. If you want to reach a certain level of Sprezzatura, it's never, 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 never what can I add, but what can I remove while looking still good. And maybe you will see that if you remove one accessory of your outfit, all of a sudden, the whole ambience change. What do I wear today? I wear a tie, a shirt, a suit, double-breasted, a pocket square, and a ring, and that's it. No watch, no more accessories, no bracelet, nothing like that. Imagine now that I would add on this very outfit a lapel pin and a tie bar and 3 or 4 bracelets and a watch and a scarf. And all of a sudden, I would not look like a gentleman, I would look like a Christmas tree. When you want to achieve this goal, you always have to ask yourself, what can I remove instead of what can I add? And that's the main mistake people are doing.